Welcome back, everyone, off our month-long hiatus. While Melissa has been down in the Amazon drinking ayahuasca, doing San Pedro, doing dietas with different types of tree barks. Did I cover it
See,
all?
yeah, covered it all.
Yeah, yeah. So we're here
Communed
today,
with the jungle.
communing with the jungle, still communing with the jungle. She's
Mm-hmm.
doing a dieta right now. Figured
Yeah.
I'd give that introduction with all that's been going on. So Melissa, tell me.
Yes, Nick.
Tell me all about it.
Tell you all the things. Well, as I was leaving, the volunteers were about to start another dieta. We were at the Blue Morpho Lodge, which is also now home to the Blue Morpho Academy. And I was so jealous and one of the girls said, why don't you do it at home with us? So I asked Hamilton if I could do the dieta at home, and he sent me a parting gift of some trees, and I started the diet when I got home the next day. Me and my husband, who's also been working with Blue Morpho and has done dietas in the past. So we're about 6 days in now, and we're dieting 4 different trees. 2 of them were part of the dieta that I did at the camp. Waka Purana and Tamamuri, and then we're also doing Chuchuwasi and Fiero Caspi.
So how is that going?
It's different being at home versus being in the jungle where your main task is just to do the dieta, and really have the time to focus on the trees. So here I'm home and have my kids and lots of distractions. It's much easier to forget to not use my hand soap or wash the dishes or touch a baby wipe. So also part of the dieta process is not using products. So that part's a little bit harder. And my energy is really low. So that makes things harder. It's not always easy for me to get a nap or just kind of chill because I'm taking care of the kids.
How much have you been eating during the day with this
I've been
dieta?
eating 2 meals of the exact thing that you eat at the camp, well, minus the egg. So for breakfast, the dieta consists of rice, hard-boiled eggs, and a plantain. And then lunch is rice, white rice, a plantain, and chicken, alternating with this bony fish called a boco chico. And also you're allowed to drink water, and you are allowed to drink lemongrass tea, whether that's hot or cold. And Hamilton described to us that when in the traditional Amazonian diet, so his dieta process is adapted for Westerners and for a group. The only thing they would eat is the plantain, and if you could catch it, you would get the boca chico. So the food consumption is supposed to be minimal. The product use is minimal. Everything is designed that way. You have the best environment for the trees to acclimate to, and also can really your body processes slow down, and that way you really can kind of connect in a more deeper way to the spirits of the trees.
What have the spirits of these trees been teaching you?
What have they been teaching me? Well, a lot of grounding and being firm but loving in my parenting. Maybe a little too firm sometimes. But doing the firmness from a place of love, and I know this is what is best and this is what is called for in the moment. It's not so much, I haven't learned so much yet. I think it's more of a process of just like forming the bond and the connection and the relationship at first, and just kind of like sensing like what the energy of each tree is like. I think there's a lot of cleaning that happens. I just noticed, like, in my dreams, I've been at the camp and as well as here, just dreaming a lot of about people from high school or even friends from elementary school. So I kind of feel like that was just some cleaning out of whatever is stuck inside of the body, the brain, the psyche, and then just like a lot of chaos in the dreams, like walking through a lot of rooms or getting lost in a hotel or in a restaurant. So I feel like it's just a lot of cleaning out stuff.
Hmm.
I actually had this one dream that I woke up from a camp. It really like struck me. And then when I realized what it was, because I afterwards told someone and helped me realize what was happening. But I was in this house with Hamilton and Christian, and yeah, like, I was watching a movie with Hamilton, and I was like cleaning up house and finding all this like old discarded stuff. And at one point, I got scared because there was someone watching me on maybe like a Ring camera or something, and it was these faces of three men. And so when I was telling someone about the dream afterwards, I realized that it was, like the maestros directing the energy and the plants like cleaning out the stuff, which is interesting. I've had dreams in the past of the spirits like coming to me of like these just like of men,
Hmm.
just like men's faces like in suits or something.
Men in Black.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Um, did you give the tree spirits sort of maybe a direction, or could you give them a direction of, if these things that are showing up in your dreams that, I don't know, are they malevolent to you or are they more benign?
The
What's it
things that are
like?
coming through in the dreams. Yeah, no, it's not such a bother. I mean, I hadn't given them much of a direction for the dreams. But it reminds me, I actually told Louis today, I did just have to give them some directions. This wasn't related to the diet, but before I went to the camp, I spent the 5 days, 4 nights drinking ayahuasca, 4 nights of ceremonies. And during one of my ceremonies, I realized that I had been having these dreams where I thought there was something wrong with me. And so and it happened quite frequently and for a long period of time. So I did tell the spirits, I'm like, listen, if there's something wrong with me, then teach me how I could fix it, or tell me what the next step is, and just stop telling me that there's something wrong with me. I mean, I don't know if it was me telling me or what, but that is one way I directed that. But no, I haven't really directed them so much about the dreams. I mean, in general, Hamilton says you could direct them directly with your intention, or they could just know or they do also just know your intention that's in your heart. But I like to give it the words and direction, like this is my intention.
I like to put it in words too. It just makes it more clear for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that. It makes it more clear for me.
Yeah, that way I know, I know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, I think that's important, right? To be aware of your intention and your decision to have that intention. All those things kind of set the stage and get the ball rolling in the direction you want to be moving in.
Yeah, yeah. And what you were saying too about how these different types of plant spirits can be used as something that can be a diagnostic for you to be able to, figure out if there's something wrong, what that thing is, and then go into the process then of fixing it. So you were saying that beforehand, you were thinking there was something wrong when you were down there. Did you get any resolution to that? Did you find out what that
No,
was?
no, but I've had a whole month of not having any of those kinds of experiences at night anymore. I don't really think there is anything wrong with me. If anything, it was probably just my own mind.
Mm. Hmm.
Hard to know though, right? I mean, your own mind becomes or your own consciousness becomes like merged with the trees and the plants that you diet. So it's kind of the same at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you brought them into your body, right?
Yeah,
You only
yeah.
get one.
That is the truth, right? Just the one body got to take care of that sucker.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say something.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say something about we were talking about sort of like the non-dual or the non-dualistic thinking, or not framing your thoughts in duality too. Has that been something you've been working on when you were down there?
Well, I think it's something that I always probably work on. I think instead of thinking in terms of not framing things in a dualistic way, because that's kind of what I don't want to do, right? Thinking of what I do want to do. So I do want to work towards having, like we talked about, like sanctuary consciousness or Christ consciousness, or just, optimal and balanced consciousness. So that, yes, I have been working on. I think it's going well. It's hard to know, right? Like, when are you at that point?
I think you know.
Well, then I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm on my way. I've got confirmation that my consciousness is in a good place, so I think I'm
See,
all
there you
right.
go. You know. Yeah, you
I've been
know.
working on it long enough. It better be in the right spot, wherever that is, right here. But something cool about Sanctuary the other day happened with me. So I think we've talked about this before, but Sanctuary is like a state of being that you create through your body. It's almost something that you get to decide that you want to that you want to create. And then there's pillars or tenets. So the first is that God is in, through, and all around everything. And then the second is that time is infinite, which makes it stable. And space is eternal, and that's going to be switched. Not that we typically think of these things anyway, but how they are typically defined. And then sanctuary becomes self-balancing, self-grounding, self-harmonizing, self-healing, and self-orienting. And it is a way of helping to reduce fear and to turn off fear and to really do all those things that are the last 5 little tenets, and just live at peace, in peace with those around you, whether it's person, plant, animal, tree, whatever it may be. It's for everybody and everywhere. So I've been dealing with this ongoing situation with my job, and I thought it was taken care of when I got home, but I got this phone call that it has not been taken care of. And so I could feel that like familiar feeling in my chest of like the fear rising, and just right away I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm in sanctuary, I have unconditional love, I am, full of compassion, there's all the compassion for me, and all of the feelings literally just like melted away. I was like, whoa. And so like it was just felt like magic. Like they literally, like all of the feelings just calmed down.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I've been
it
doing
was
a little,
amazing.
I don't know what you call it, technique, whatever, but by just going into like the different spaces that I'll go in throughout the day, like I'm now in the bedroom, sanctuary is here. I'm now on the nature trail, sanctuary is here. I'm now in the grocery store. Sanctuary is here. And it's a way I get to train my mind then to be able to focus on, what you described as those tenets of sanctuary, a safe place for you to be you. You're giving yourself the safe space for you just to be the way you are, and for other people to be the way that they are, and everything else too that
Yeah,
shows up in life. Also would
yeah.
like to say though, that's not always, um if there's a listener out there, not to get confused with like that being something that's passive. It's not actually a passive thing.
What
You
do you
know what I
mean by
mean?
that? No,
I
I don't
mean
understand
by
what you mean by that.
I mean by that as like saying that like it's a safe place for me to be me, and for you to be you, and for those people to be those people, and for them to be them. It doesn't always mean, it doesn't always mean like you like what they're doing, or that you would be passive in the way of like you would accept some things that, might lead to harm. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means, that you, I don't know, maybe I'm just spinning around in the mind on that one.
Yeah, for me, what it brings up for me about you is that you have a lot of like, oh, I'm in this fight. That's kind of what that reminds me of for you. I think what you're saying is make it doesn't make everything acceptable, like certain behaviors or certain actions, just because you're in a sanctuary.
Right.
But people could still act out in the sanctuary. It's them having to come to that balance. It's them having to come to that place of grounding for themselves. It's having
Yes.
them to like be like heal themselves. It just
Yes.
means that it's safe for everybody. I mean, of
You
course,
put into
like,
words that.
yeah, it doesn't mean that just because you're somewhere doesn't mean like an accident can't happen, or someone can't be crazy and do some shitty thing like pull out a gun or a knife.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Exactly. So thank you for putting that into words, because
yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I just didn't really have the way of describing it.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, I hope I described it accurately for you.
No, you did for sure.
I mean, accurately in the way of what you were thinking about it.
Right. Because I don't know, it sounded like for me, just like listening to myself talk of I was describing something where it would be passive, where that's not really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, well, because invoking sanctuary is an active process, and you also have to actively decide. I think, though, part of it is there could be a lot more passivity once everyone's on board with it, because there isn't going to have to be as much of the duality of all of the structures and systems that are in place for everybody. There won't be so much game going on. Everyone could be living more at peace and harmony with the energies of the earth and everyone else.
True, maybe eventually, where
Yeah.
everyone would understand that, but I think currently we're just not there.
Oh, no, we're
Unfortunately.
not there, but there's no reason that we won't be there.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way current affairs are, it's a very, 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 very small section of humanity that even knows about these things.
Oh, yeah. But in due time,
Let's hope.
yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm down for it.
Yeah, me too.
I saw what it's like in an ayahuasca ceremony when everyone's in sanctuary, and it's fucking awesome. So just get on board, people.
So, but for people though that may never even get that chance to do ayahuasca, you describe sanctuary as a safe place for me to be me, safe place for you to be you. It's something that we decide for ourselves, to give ourselves a sanctuary in which we live, and to which we give other people. the sanctuary as well.
And I think the
So,
important tenet there too is knowing that God's love, divinity is in, through, and all around everything. That's one of the most important things. So I think you
mm,
were gonna you had a question there, maybe.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay, no.
But yeah, I definitely resonate with what you were saying about a divine intelligence being in and around everything.
Yeah. So what sanctuary does is it takes God, which has traditionally been placed outside of people, and puts God not only like right here, but like my whole entire body is not solid, right? We all know that based on what science tells us now. Everything's energy, and it's mostly these like, what comes first? An atom, right? Or these like atomic particles that are just vibrating, and my body is technically all air, somehow seeming solid. And what's between all that air, that space, is just this divine energy. I don't know, divine, I don't know what, I haven't seen what that stuff is. I've just experienced the feeling of it.
The knowing.
Yeah, the knowing, the feeling, right? It's not a belief. It gets to be something that we just know to be true. I think maybe I thought you were going to ask this, like if you don't have the plant medicine experience or the psychedelic experience,
Oh, yes, sorry.
to experience that, how do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, because you were talking about being in an ayahuasca ceremony and experiencing sanctuary. I would say
Yes.
too, I mean, I could only really speak from my own experience with knowing that I've never partaken in an ayahuasca experience, and yeah, and I've experienced sanctuary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the knowing has to come from plant medicines or just only ayahuasca. I think it could come from, yes, any plant medicines. I think that's part of what they do is they help you to, and I can't speak for all plant medicines. I haven't done a lot, I don't have a lot of experience with them really. With all of them, I should say, or extensive experience with all of them. But they do help you to see what is beyond just this like concrete, solid reality that we perceive with our very limited senses. But I think there are so many other ways to experience that in a experiential way, right? I mean, when you see a beautiful sunset, like, you know, there's something bigger than you, right? It's like that experience of awe. So when you're in the ocean, like when you're on the ocean, when you're like flying over in the clouds in an airplane, when you're on a boat looking up at the clouds, like when you have those moments of like awe and gratitude, I think you could really experience it in meditation as well. And there's like so many forms of meditation. There's also like that the contemplative Christianity meditation, oh, the centering prayer that helps you to really connect with God. I don't think it's just, you can't, there's other ways of having this knowing. I mean, even through breath work, honestly, the amazing thing about breath or the breath is that when you actually breathe and breathe intentionally and consciously, it literally does those things that sanctuary does. It helps you to ground, it helps you to balance. You literally, by learning how to breathe properly, you could balance your entire body. By doing those over breathing, meditative, long, integrative breathing sessions, you could balance everything out. You could center yourself, same thing. You heal yourself, and then you are oriented in your body. Like it, breath work literally teaches you how to like be sovereign, how to know what your yes is, how to know what your no is, how to, you know, give yourself the things that you want, how to check in with yourself. So literally, like you could experience that with breath work as well. So it's open and available for everybody. It's not just, you don't have to go to the Amazon and have this experience to know what sanctuary is.
Well put.
Yeah, thank you. I would say so too.
It's funny.
So you're
So
gonna go down to the Amazon too soon.
soon,
What are you looking forward to the most?
a lot. I would say ayahuasca. I'm really looking forward to dieting Ramo Caspi.
Mm. Why Ramo Caspi?
Hmm. Because even though I have not even seen this tree, sometimes I hear it's Ikaro
Mm.
sung by other shamans.
Oh yeah, yeah, that
And
makes sense.
so I'm really interested to go down there and partake in some Ramo Caspi.
Mm.
And yeah, actually, I would really like to do some Sanango too. I'd really like to do a dieta with some Sanango if it's available.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing Sinango diets, but there is Sinango medicine. I totally forgot to ask to get on board with that. I think you could take like a tincture at
Mm.
night, like half an hour before bed, and then the Sinango works with you overnight.
Yeah, I've heard that Sanango really heals the nervous system, and I just think that's something that I need.
I think all the plants could probably heal the nervous system.
Mm.
Yeah, Sinango is good at honesty and integrity, teaching,
Mm.
teaching honesty and integrity.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to all of that.
Yeah. Well, in the ceremony house, or the temple as it's now called, the floor is made of capirona, which is one of the trees that we diet. I actually just dieted it this time. And there are these beams. Well, actually, they're not beams, they're tree. I don't, yeah, like the Ramo Caspi trunk is all it's what the hammocks used to hang from. It's like the centering part of the right up, like right above your head in the ceremony house. Well, there's lots of Ramo Caspi in the ceremony house, and there's a bunch of Ramo Caspi trees on the property.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to some Boban Sana
Yeah, yeah.
dieta as well. Yeah, and just to get to see the Amazon rainforest, I think that's going to be a cool experience.
Oh my God, it's so cool down there. I love it. There's so many like different bugs and plants and animals. I was walking and I saw this one. It's like a flower. It's like a purple, what do you call it? Like a purple jellyfish. I don't know what it was. It smelled so good though. There's so much like flower medicine. It's just really a magical place. Like you could just learn like everywhere you turn.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I saw a ton of blue morpho butterflies.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I get to see one.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. They're always around. I saw monkeys. It was the first time I ever saw monkeys there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Monkeys. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
an interesting experience.
Yeah, I forget, maybe the spider monkeys, they're very small, like a long tail. Yeah, lots of birds, lots of bees, wasps, frogs, a lot of dragonflies. I saw this really
Mm.
cool dragonfly that had like translucent wings, and then on each wing had a like a dot, like a black circle on one black circle on each wing. A lot of different butterflies.
A lot of wildlife.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of dogs at the camp now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Cool.
fun.
Yeah, I remember you showing me pictures of the cats or videos of the
Oh yeah, there's
cats.
cats too. I forgot about the cats. I was learning to love them.
Cats are awesome.
I'm not such a fan.
Why
I'm
not?
learning to, I guess maybe I should just work on accepting them first.
I need to learn on accepting gnats. I was out in the
Gnats.
moment
Yeah,
yesterday with
that's a
some gnats.
hard.
I was like in the woods, like, you god damn it, motherfucker, like
I know.
swatting at them. They're
I
just like going
know.
in my eye. I'm like, why do you always go for my eye?
Yeah, they could be a pain, can't they? I was hiking in the jungle and I just heard this thing like buzzing in my ear. And instead of swatting it away, I'm like, okay, what do you need to tell me? Just make it snappy and then leave me alone.
What to tell you?
I don't know. Nothing. I probably was just still swatting at it.
What do you have to tell me?
As I'm trying to kill you. I want lizards too, like the little geckos and then the bigger ones. I don't remember seeing so many of those last time around. Maybe I just wasn't as observant.
When you communicate with the spirits of the plant, do they take on any kind of like anthropomorphized vision for you? Or how do you experience those things?
I more so experience everything as a thought in my mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
I did learn I have this skill that I have to work on, that I could hear the vibration. I should actually practice that with some of the plants that I've dieted.
So communication channel through thoughts.
Mostly, yeah. Sometimes I
Mostly.
get like a flash of a vision and like I see a whole entire picture of something that I just understand. But
Hmm.
mostly it's all like very mind dominant,
Hmm.
or just knowing.
Hmm.
What about for you?
For me, it's a lot of thought, and it's sometimes a lot of just like 3D imagery.
What's
So it's
3D
just
mean?
3D meaning like I could be out on a hike, right?
Mm.
And I could be communicating with one of a power animal that takes on the form of an eagle, and like I'll just see it like fly to the end of the trail and like go up into a tree and then like hang out there until I get there, and then it'll go fly to another tree,
Mm.
sort of like at the like limits of the horizon, hang out there until I get there, and like keep on going through like that throughout the trail.
Cool.
And yeah, I don't, did I say thoughts
I
first?
think you did, yeah.
Yeah, thoughts, inner knowing, and that's was I would say would be my primary channels of communication. I'd like to work on opening up more to the other channels.
Yeah, opening up those sensory gated channels. I think the medicine's really good for that. Just keeping them open.
Yeah, it's work.
It is. It's all work. It's all a lot of work. It's cool though to be down there and be surrounded by people that are like doing the same work as you.
I'm sure it's much easier to stay focused on it, or at least I would think so.
It depends. Not everyone's focusing on it. I think you still have to. I mean, it's easier in the way that your life is just way simpler there, but not everyone is focusing on the things you want to be focusing on. Although everyone is ultimately focused, its intention is kind of overall similar in a way.
Yeah, I guess what I was saying was, well, for me, I've only ever known doing a dieta in Western society in this like hustle and bustle type of world where, it's not, there's a lot of distractions. And so
Yeah.
I was thinking more so like in a natural setting, perhaps it could be a bit easier to just focus on those natural spirits.
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, part of it. I mean, if you don't have as much to do, but you still have to remember to focus on them. So
Yeah.
it depends on how that focus is. But for sure, I think there's a lot of benefits though from doing the dieta in an environment like home. It's like integrating and learning on the spot or as you go. So for me, like over the month, a lot of what I learned, I had to almost not wait, but was less integrating. It was more just like a lot of medicine and a lot of learning. But what I'm doing now, I can kind of like integrate right away because I'm in the thick of it. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing the living while I'm doing the dieting, right? I'm not like hidden away in the jungle doing the diet. But I think that also has a lot of benefit. I think both
Yeah.
have their pluses and minuses. Although there's not much minus, I guess. Although, I mean, traditionally you're just living in that tambo, like all by yourself, not seeing anybody. I think that's really hard as well.
No, I'm sure that that's probably that sounds really, really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fucking hard. It's like you versus you. So, I mean, traditionally, it's probably really hard as well. Then there's the middle ground of, oh, I'm like surrounded by friends and cool people that are interested in the same thing I'm interested in, all doing the same thing, and like the camaraderie and the community.
That sounds like a fun way.
Yeah, it's fun. And like you said, everyone's kind of focused on the same thing, but at the same time, you have to make sure you're doing what you want to be doing, right? And doing your own focusing, because not everyone is at the moment focused on.
Well, no one else can really focus for you except for you, right?
No, for sure not. Well, I mean, someone could like remind you, like, hey guys, let's take a moment and focus on our trees. But like, no one's saying that. Like, it's still up to you
Yeah.
during the meal, like during someone having a conversation, during the other times,
Yeah. Focusing on them right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. I think single focused for me is something I'm still focusing on.
Yeah, I notice for me, a lot of the time, if I'm speaking with someone and focusing on the dieta plants at the same time, sometimes I like to pick one out, and sometimes I like to just like have it all be in my awareness, but it's not showing up like 3D imaging. It's just like I know it's there. And then sometimes it is showing up like in my imagination, just like a sunflower or a rose. It's kind of how this conversation has been going.
Where you're focusing on your plants.
Yes.
And what's the difference for you if you're focusing on them as well as focusing on something else?
What do you mean?
Is there something that it adds to your interaction? Is there something that it helps you do when you're focused on both things, like interacting with someone and the plants?
Well, I'm using the plants to help me interact.
I see what you're saying.
So I'm I'm not like having them, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's like how I'm using how I'm focusing on it is I'm directing the plants to help me in this conversation communicate with you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So the plants are helping you like communicate clearly and be I don't know what the word other than good is. Yeah. Be a conversation partner that someone wants to have.
Yeah, just help
Know
me
how to
be
listen,
that. Yeah,
be
that's a big
present.
one.
Yeah, that's huge. Learning how to listen.
Yeah, it really is. That's a skill in and of itself.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. How have you noticed with these trees that you're dieting, how what benefit this time have you noticed with it during this dieta? Like, has there been like anything specific?
Um, I mean, it's hard to know. It's hard to tease out what's what, right? Like, what's the ayahuasca? What's the San Pedro? What's the diet? I just know um, that, and then of course I went in mostly with the intentions that I had that were like left over from the last time that I drank ayahuasca, as well as, I mean, I always have the intention like to open my heart to help me like live from the heart, do that even more. And probably this time around also like just really working on living more consistently in sanctuary. So it's hard to say what is what. But I did come home. It was just a lot more. All right, so the word's not confidence, assuredness, and like who I really am, what I really am, what, and not that I think I need value. I understand that's not, it's just kind of this word that exists because of humans, but what value I do bring and I have been cultivating. I mean, I guess, you know, for my family, for my community, for the people I interact with, the people that I work with. Yeah, and just owning and being a lot more secure in all that stuff for myself, knowing that I am able to be more or be in control of, you know, what my decision is, that the things I want and the things I want to do and the things that I want to take action on, I can do all of them, whether or not, you know, things happen today or whenever the time and that moment comes, that they'll come. So I guess just like a lot more assuredness in the control I have over the direction that I'm moving in.
Awesome.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
know
I
you
couldn't
were,
have asked for more.
yeah, I know you were talking about that before you left, about mm, it was around I just remember this because I was editing the last one like a couple of days ago, but you were talking about how, you know, you were looking to just like, I guess, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say like level up as like you were like down here and then now you're like up here, but just like, I don't know, getting better at certain things. And I don't think it has to really, I know, like you said before, like, I don't want to look at it like as I'm getting better, but it's not like the dual type of thinking of like you were at like some worse place, you know, and now you're like in this better place.
Yeah, maybe evolution, right? Or like evolving into, or what I'm evolving into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was doing myself a disservice. I was confused about what I wanted and wasn't sure why I wanted it, but I figured that I have to want something and I have to move in some direction. So I'm just going to whatever is like present, and the thing that I want to do now is the thing that I'm going to aim for, and that could always change, but I have to have somewhere that I'm going. I mean, and it could still be very inward, but there also has to be something kind of external that, I mean, maybe it's not external because it's going to be like, who do I become as I go for that thing or that beingness? But I had to, yeah, I had to really decide. I think that's what a lot came down to for me, which is like baby step number one,
Mm.
deciding.
So what did you decide on?
Well, just exactly what I just told you, that I can be, do, and have all the things I want. I'm totally capable of that. And if I'm not capable, I will call on all of the spirits and all of the medicine that could help me get there. Yeah,
Yeah.
more or less just that. I decided I'm not playing in my own shit anymore. That was really helpful, actually. So for me, when right before I went down to Peru, I was at a very low point for myself. I was very tired of my stories of I don't know what I want, I can't do it. I'm not. I was just really, really sick of it, and it is in the source code terms. It's frustrated part of me that just kind of like stuck in my own shit. Right. The only reason it wasn't anyone else doing this to me or making these stories. It was my story. It was me making my own story. So, I mean, thankfully, ayahuasca reminded me yet again of what I do have, who I am, what I am. And yeah, and then all the rest unfolded with all the other medicine, the trees and whatnot, that really helped me to, yeah, to see that I am very capable. I have really done a lot. I really have done a lot of work. And Vivian had pointed out one time there was this one woman who was playing with her poop one night, not literally, but figuratively. And I was like, oh, Dr. Sam always says that. I'm stuck in my frustrated. Ugh. And that just like blasted things open for me.
So after having experienced all of that, and you said you've decided on a direction for yourself.
Yeah. I have.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what are these things that you want that you're gonna go after?
Yeah, well, it mostly involves my career. So just getting serious about promoting my breath work and the subconscious reprogramming I'm able to do with the work that I've done with Dr. Sam. I think also taking the breath work in a direction of maybe helping people to integrate plant medicine experiences. I'm also now working with the Blue Morpho Academy to bring breathwork to the academy, and also doing the academy course in the process to
Very cool.
become a sitter for the various plant medicines that are included in the course in the academy.
Cool.
Yeah, I think so. I'm excited. Yeah, just realizing like I'm in control of what's going on.
You are in control of your decisions.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I really am. No, it feels really good. We'll see. I'm keeping it up. Of course I am. I mean, there's no other option at this point.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel really good about it.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to see that you've gotten, benefit from it. I can see, the benefit on you
Awesome.
since
Thank you.
beforehand.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to this podcast and re-listen all the time if I ever start to play around in my poopy diaper again.
What
I
would you
think
tell?
also too. Oh, sorry.
I was
Go
gonna
on.
say, what would you tell yourself if you rewatched it?
Well, I would just have to tell myself to like feel like the vibe that I have going on right now. So like I know that's an actual thing, a place I could get to.
Nice.
I also think I really healed my deprived, which is another source code coping style. So the deprived, we've talked about this. I've talked about this before. It's where you feel like you get all the bad stuff. But when I was down there, I realized, well, fuck, like this is my dream come true, to come here, to stay here for the month, to work with Hamilton. And I'm like, oh my God, here I am. Like I'm fucking doing it. And also like doing the breath work. I did the breath work on the retreats. I did the breath work at the lodge. I did the breath work for the Trinity online. So I'm like, that was also something else I really wanted to do. And here I am, like, I do get the things I want. I'm just telling myself otherwise. So that really healed the deprived, because the deprived is where you feel like you don't get anything. Like you get like the shit end of the stick, basically. And you become like this, instead of becoming magnetic and attracting the things you want, you kind of like repel everything.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Well, we can work on that together.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Anything paranormal happened when you were down there, or anything with this dieta?
Paranormal. I had like my first real like proper vision that I've had in a while. I don't usually get a lot of visual visions, but I saw it's like this like multicolored like checkerboard almost, and then these kind of like robotic figures. They kind of remind me of like that newer Star Wars robot.
Which one?
I don't remember all the Star Wars movies. The one with the girl, Kylo Ren, is that his name? I know that's not.
It's like a
I know that's the
sphere.
girl's name. Yeah, like a sphere on top of a sphere. They're
Yeah.
like that, and they were like in my brain, like poking around and diagnosing and treating. And also, I just really saw like the dimensionality of everything. Um, anything else paranormal? No, I mean, I really felt like the God, like in through and all around everything. Mm, anything paranormal? What's normal? I feel like that's like the thing you learn in shamanism, right? Like there's no real versus unreal. That's just like the duality of what everyone makes up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the duality of it, of going like paranormal equals unreal, daily living equals real
Yeah.
type of thing.
Meanwhile, this shit's like so fucking made up. Come on, people.
But
Like
I
get with
mean,
the
I think
program.
I think they're both real in the sense that like there's just like the normal everyday living, and then there's those things where it's like, yo, that was wild. That was something where it was just like so, or like even like the word supernatural, right? Like it was just so, it had such like this natural kind of thing to it that it's like kind of like I don't know, like it's so hard to explain. It's so hard to describe, but it's just like
Mm.
paranormal, supernatural. I don't know how else to put it.
You know, that reminds me. Um, well, it reminds me of two things actually. So one thing I learned, I a while ago, we worked at Blue Morpho. There was this 10-day ayahuasca retreat. Or I don't know how many days it was, but you drank ayahuasca 10 days. You drank ayahuasca 5 days with a break and then another 5 days. And I remember just asking Hamilton one night, I'm like, how do you do this? There's like so much ayahuasca. And he's just like, it's just normal. And like the whole week, I just told myself, like, because you're so Mariado all the time, just like normal, 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 normal. So like that reminds me of what you're saying. Like everything is normal. Our senses are just so dulled down that we're like, the only thing that's normal is like this routine, this habit, this outside structure that's this box I've been placed into, these boxes I place myself into. That's what's normal. I mean, but right, we kind of forget. I mean, that's not what's normal. That's like what we think is normal, but what's normal is really everything. And then the other thing that brings up for me is that one night after an ayahuasca ceremony, we were talking about how, oh, when you go to sleep, I mean, we were talking about this earlier too, how we are not really the solid form. And we were talking about how you go to sleep and you somehow get put back together when you wake up in the morning, right? And everything's in the spot where you think you left it. And that's kind of like how the ego helps you to, like, when you look in the mirror, you know who you are. You don't get like, you don't scare the fuck out of yourself every morning when you look in the mirror. Like, who the fuck is that? Right? Like, you have this, you have a past, right? You have an identity. But I was like, how the fuck does that happen? I was like really stuck on that. And the only thing that it took to understand how that happens was just to like allow for the possibility that is possible, just to like open my mind like a tiny little bit and think like, oh, of course that's how it happens. Of course, this is normal. Like, and that kind of reminds me of what you just asked as well, right? Paranormal versus normal, everyday experience versus experience with plant medicine. It's all there. It's just a matter of what we feel is possible, really.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
we're
for sure.
open to being possible.
Yeah, I think also too, like you were saying, like we get put in this box and then, our stimuli gets sort of shut off to certain experiences,
Yeah.
but then when you turn them on and then like those experiences happen and they become very real for you, then Yeah, they're just like part of life.
Yeah, then they become normal. I always think of that too, like when Hamilton tells his stories. I mean, you really have to suspend. He doesn't tell as crazy the ones that he used to tell, like back in the day. I mean, sometimes he does every now and again, but you really had to like let go of anything you thought was possible when you hear some of the stories that he tells about, like his ceremonial experience or even things outside of ceremonies that were happening to him or that happened to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similar stories out there too. Like, I don't know if you've ever read the Carlos Castaneda books, but like,
No, I have not.
there's this one book where they talk about these giant moths, right? These
Mm.
giant moths showing up for them, right? But like, there's like multiple people throughout recent history. Like, there's the Mothman. Like, there's these stories all over about these giant moths, right? That are just like out there. So I don't know, like leads you to think like, I wonder if there's really something more going on to this than, what's in this box. And from my experience, there certainly is. You just have to be open to getting out of that box.
Yeah, I mean, then you need some tools to get out too.
Yeah,
You need to be open and you need the tools.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, it was Rose. It was the plant Rose
Mm,
that threw me a lifeline.
really?
Oh yeah.
How so?
When I first started to diet the rose, the first dieta that I ever did, I dieted white rose. So actually, this is kind of like gonna lead to an interesting story. So when I first started to diet the white rose, like I said, the first dieta, I asked Hamilton sort of what the protocol is, and then I started to go through the protocol with all of the restrictions. And I, needed to earn money to make a living during that period of time. And so I drove for Uber. And where I got these roses, I got them at, sorry for the interruption, everyone. Looking back at it, I really just don't want to disclose the current name of the place that I work at, so I'm just going to say that I got these roses from a grocery store, and we can continue on with the podcast. Roses and did the dieta, and I was driving on the road, and I kept seeing these giant trucks go by, and these trucks, the name of the company was White Rose. I thought that's interesting. And then like I kept seeing it on the road multiple times throughout that week. And I saw that their slogan is that you deserve the best. And so it was just sort of like a really, at first I thought it might have been coincidence, just a coincidence. And then I sort of really realized how the Rose spirit was setting up experiences for me to be able to give my best.
Mm.
And so that, I can also then like, you know, be able to receive it as well. And so where I was going with that about telling you where I actually got the roses from was it's still working with me currently. Right. Like it wasn't just like that one like little thing and then done. No, it was like years later, this thing is still teaching me how to live essentially and to decide to give my best and to then really live out those decisions and engage in it. And it's so powerful and it's so incredible. And I would even say that just the fact that how these plants work is, I mean, think about like any ceremony that a rose has been given to someone, or that there's roses at a wedding, or
I
if
just
it's
thought of
at
The Bachelor because I think they use roses in that show.
The Bachelor, the Titanic, the woman's name is Rose. It's like
Mhm.
it's very, very ingrained, within humanity of like this ritual of like having roses around and giving roses to each other. And so to have dieted that plant, I just found it to be incredibly powerful. And to really open me up to understanding that I think there's a bit more to what I was thinking was even possible. And then I opened up to the possibility that it really was the spirit of the rose that inspired that person to even name that company White Rose and to have the slogan, "You deserve the best," and the synchronicities all around that. That's just like so mind blowing for me to have been dieting um the rose during that period of time to then like come across these trucks with the name of the company White Rose and the slogan "You deserve the best." And so like I would chalk that one up as like a supernatural experience.
Mm. Yeah, I could see how you would say that.
Yeah, and it just really merged uh like the supernatural and then just daily life for me.
So did you not have these experiences before? Because you had been practicing shamanism for a while before the Trinity retreats, right? Or is that not right?
Oh yeah, I've been that dieta that I was describing too, that was not during the Trinity
Oh,
retreats.
okay.
That was I think in 2016, I'd like to say.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that
okay.
was 2016. That was the first time I dieted Rose.
Mm,
And I was that was probably about wasn't very long um from that point since I started learning shamanism and practicing shamanism. It was only maybe like 6 to 7 months. And yeah, I mean there were certain like some experiences beforehand, but that one just like really sticks out in my mind of like how just incredibly powerful these plants are and like how much they're just intertwined in the human psyche.
yeah, yeah. It's hard for me to even know or not know. I don't know, not know. It's been such a long time for me, like working with them.
Mm, what do you mean?
Uh, I mean, ever since I've been doing this work, it's been with the plants, really. And before
Mm,
that, I wasn't doing any of the work, of this kind of work.
I see, I
I
see.
didn't know it existed. Like it started for me with the plants, really. Because I did a diet before I even like knew what I was doing.
Mm, how'd that one go?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I had gone to Blue Morpho and met Louis, and then we traveled for like a week or so in Peru, and then I went back to Blue Morpho and did more ayahuasca and a plant dieta. And then I've just been working with the spirits ever since.
Yeah, I mean, they really do like just root themselves in like the deepest possible spot within you.
Yeah, I mean, your consciousness, like, where is that anyway?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think there's definitely like understand what you're saying. There's a clear distinction of like who you were before you started working with the plants, and then there's a clear distinction of who you are after.
Oh yeah. I had no idea of like any of these like integrity, virtues, like any like anything having to do with the heart. I had no idea. I
I
mean, which
think
I think is really sad. Even things like acceptance and I mean forgiveness is a pretty big one because it has a lot to do, I think, with like religion. So I feel like that's probably something like on people's radars. But even things like compassion and patience, I mean, it's not like these are things that are taught. I had never really heard of them before. I mean, maybe patience, because my mom would tell me, you don't have any patience.
yeah, my mom would say the same thing.
But other than that, it's not like she taught me how to have patience.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
She just told me I don't have any. Well, yeah, I mean, how did I learn all this stuff? I don't know, from the plants.
Yeah, I mean they're amazing teachers.
Hmm.
What I find fascinating too is, you know, when I was told that they'll set up scenarios within your life in which you're going to learn through those scenarios. Like I wasn't discrediting it, but I was more like, how? How? And well, come to find out how. Just like the story that I told you about the white rose. It's like once you know it, and you know it beyond a belief. It's just like so matter of fact. It's like, yep, that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is what they do. It's not like you become that you're separate from them, or it's like someone puppeteering you. They just
No,
become part of you.
yeah. I'm glad you added that in.
Well, they work to fulfill your intention. Like a
They
partner
do.
in crime. Co-conspirator. What's a positive word for that?
Um, teacher, I don't know.
Friend?
Friend, yeah, I like friend.
Yeah. Buddy. But it doesn't sound as like as co-creative. Co-creator. There you go.
Co-creator. It's accurate.
Mm-hmm. Accurate, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely co-creators, that's for sure. Uh, so how long? Oh, you said that you are doing this until Monday.
Yeah, Monday. So one more day. Well, the rest of today and then one more full day.
You holding,
Oh,
are you doing any kind of like drumming trance with them?
I think we'll do a
Rattling trance?
ceremony tomorrow. We'll listen to one of the recorded ceremonies tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we'll break the diet on Monday morning, and then I'm gonna drink cacao and coffee.
Mm.
That's what I've been looking forward to. I got some new cacao. It's kind of funny actually, because I just was in Peru and then just actually ordered cacao from Peru because I wasn't like anywhere where I could get it.
Mm.
So I got shipped from Oregon cacao from Peru.
Shipped from Peru to Oregon to
Yeah,
you.
when I was just there. And I'll probably get some next time I go anyway, but I just wasn't in town enough to get any.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So you're not doing any cacao during the dieta.
No, no. I think I do want to do a cacao dieta though. Someone was talking about how powerful it was that they did it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and they said it was really powerful. So I actually do the next chance I get, which probably won't be until like October. I want to do a cacao dieta. But yeah, no, during the dieta, I don't want to diet anything but the plant. So like whatever you ingest, then that becomes part of your diet. So I was trying to stick as traditionally as possible. I did have to like I said, when I started, I was like, wash the dishes and totally forgot. Or I wore a glove to wipe my kid's butt with the baby wipe, but then like touched the baby wipe with the other hand. And then accidentally like didn't wear a glove when I was cutting the chicken, so I had to wash my hands. So I had a couple occasions where I had to use some
When you were
products.
cutting the chicken,
Yeah. Yeah, I cut the chicken before I cooked it.
why would you have to wear gloves?
Well, because if I touch the chicken, then I'd feel like I'd have to wash my hands
Oh
with
yeah.
soap.
Oh.
So the 2 times I did it, I wore it. No, well, the one time I forgot, the second time I wore it, and then the third time I forgot. So I ended up having to wash my hands a couple times. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, do the best you can.
Yeah, I'm in sanctuary.
You're in
And then
sanctuary.
I think we're Louis is deciding on what length of restrictions he wants to do. Because they've decreased the restrictions a little bit.
Meaning length or
Yeah,
what?
the length. So it used to be so after the dieta, there are restrictions. So the first restriction is 3 days without any sugar or spicy foods. And because the plants don't like spicy foods. And then it could like turn you kind of like spicy.
Hmm.
And then it used to be 30 days, no like drug, sex, alcohol. Or maybe that's the three, sex is definitely was 30 days. Maybe the alcohol and the drugs was in the 3 days, but I don't think so. And then no pork for 6 months. But now it's just the 3 days, no sugar, like 7 days, no drugs, and
I remember the
14
6
days,
months,
no sex and pork.
14 days. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the 6 months without no pork. That was
Hmm.
the first one. I was like, but you know what was interesting about that? It was like right around the holidays when I could start eating pork again.
That's helpful. I
And
like
then
pork.
I like pork too. I don't know for you, but like for me, when I would tell people like I'm not eating pork, they'd be like, "Are you Jewish?" It's like, no, like I don't really want to get into this with you right now,
I
but no, I'm not
know.
eating pork.
Most people can't even understand the fact that you're like doing this purification process to begin with. It's, again, they're stuck in a box somewhere. I
Yeah,
can't I can't worry about their box.
right. Oh, I like that. You can't worry about their box.
No, I'm not going to be part of their illusion.
It's wise.
I'm inviting you into mine, which is not an illusion. I mean, of course I have some. I'm not going to pretend I don't. But
Yeah, but you know, I think that you are how do I want to put this? You know, you're learning about the illusions in the psyche and releasing them as they come up.
yeah,
Most
yeah,
people are just stuck within the illusion. You're doing something that most people aren't even aware of
yeah,
is even
true.
possible.
As you are too.
Yeah, it's not easy too. I'd like to add that. It's definitely not
No,
easy. And especially like some illusions. For me anyway, some illusions I'm like, no, I want that one. Damn it. Then like the bubble just
yeah,
bursts. I'm like, ah. All right.
yeah.
Time to restructure.
I know, and some like you're just in so deeply and so long that it takes a lot to really even see them.
It does too, and especially the ones that are conditioned, because you're conditioned to sort of look the other
Yes.
way.
Yeah, totally. I was just realizing that about like relationships. Like even the label that you give to a relationship, friendship, marriage, um, intimate partner, whatever. Those are all labels that were created by somebody else. And then you and this other person go into this relationship and like we're friends, but you never like define what it is. It's just like you take for granted that we're in this friendship or that we're in this marriage or that we're in this partnership. But like what do all of those things mean? If you don't go ahead and define that for yourself, then yeah, you're just living in someone else's box.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting you say that too, because I think back on like the past relationships that I've had with my ex-girlfriend. It's like we never really quite defined it. But I always
Right.
think like the next relationship that I have that I would really like to be very, very specific with that person on like, yep, this is how I would like to define it. Are you okay with that?
Totally.
Yes,
Yeah. Like,
no,
this
yes,
is
all
what I
right, move
want. This is what
forward.
I need. These are my expectations. This is what I expect from you.
Yeah, I think that's important too.
I think so too. But you're totally never, again, you're never taught that.
No, you're not.
You're just taught, like, oh, boyfriend, girlfriend, get married.
Yeah, and I don't think there's really like necessarily anything wrong with that either, of just like having it be like really superficial or just like shallow kind of level and not thinking about it too deeply. But I mean, for me anyway, I would like to consider those things much more deeper than what I would have in the past, now that I'm
Yeah.
aware of like how sort of like that dynamic works, you
Yeah.
know?
No, there's nothing wrong in not just defining it. But we're talking about here that it is a sort of an illusion
Yeah.
that there's this word husband or wife or marriage.
Or
And
even
that,
friend too.
yeah,
Like
right. Friendship too,
any
totally.
kind of really like any relationship too.
Yeah.
Like even when you like when you get older to a certain point where just like the whole parental game sort of just like dissolves, right? And like you're an adult, your mother and your father are an adult, right? I've experienced this quite a bit actually. Is just like when my mother or father or like any other the elder in my family, they would try to like, I don't know, like be like, oh, think about me as like a kid. I gotta just like sort of like at first it wasn't so gentle. I'd be like, I'm not a kid. But now I'm like, all right, I want to take like a more gentle approach and just sort of like remind them, like, like I don't want to like burst your illusion like so abruptly, but no, I'm just, you gotta respect me as an adult.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, right, at one point you did have like an elder-child relationship, and you grew up, and the relationship is not the same thing. I mean, right, what does grandfather or uncle or aunt, same thing for those relationships. What do they mean? You get to define them, and when you don't, yeah, you're just kind of boxed into something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the one thing that I really, really value with shamanism is that as a principle, the relationship principle, it really um allows me to just like scrap a definition that's not serving me anymore, but still see the principle as the same thing, the principle of the relationship, and then to be able to redefine it and rework that relationship into something that's more better and optimal for me.
Yeah. Yeah, like reserving the right to change your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important. It's
So
like
important.
reserving the right to change?
And right, and we've talked about this before, right? Like the only thing that you can do is change.
Yeah, and like really diving in on that illusion where I mean, I've noticed it for me in certain relationships where that person really, like didn't want me to change or wanted me to stay the same, but I didn't want to stay the same and I wanted to grow and evolve. And then the things that are within that relationship, those definitions just had to, be redefined too. And yeah, so that's an illusion too of like, oh, I don't like, like of not changing
Yeah,
is
like I
what I
want you to
mean.
stay the same. Right,
Right.
like as if that were possible.
Which is not, it's just an
Yeah.
illusion. It's like you know what it is? Um it's like people who complain about the weather. This damn winter. What do you expect? It's winter. Oh, I want it to be summer. Well, it's not. Well, it is now, but it is
Some things
currently.
never change. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what? That'd be I know we've got maybe another few minutes left before we gotta go, but like really doing a deep dive on all those illusions that are just sort of,
you started keeping a list.
yeah, that'd actually be a really good idea. Keeping a list, because I'm
Well,
sure there's common ones.
this is the one that I've been noticing. Well, not the most, but it's one that stood out for me recently.
The relationship one.
Yeah.
And for you, what was it specifically like that? What was that illusion that you had to confront?
Well, it was mostly realizing that I entered into marriage, not defining what it was for myself that I was entering into, and just taking for granted that there is already this existing thing that I'm like shoving myself into. And Louis.
Hmm. So then after you were aware of it, what changed?
Well, to be honest, I just realized it recently, so nothing really has changed except the way that I'm gonna like move forward and talk to Louis about it and just redefine it for ourselves.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what do you want from me? What do you expect from me? What don't you want? What do you want this to look like?
Yeah. I mean, take this for what it's worth, but with you and Louis, I look to you two as sort of like an example, right? Of sort of like how I want or like how I don't know how I should say it, but like how I would want like my next relationship with my next girlfriend to be, of
Aw.
just like being like, I don't know, just open and honest with
Thank
each other.
you.
I get that vibe from both of you.
Yeah,
That's
we
pretty
are.
cool.
Thanks so much for saying that and for seeing that and reflecting that. I think we are very honest with each other, and I think we both do love each other unconditionally. I mean, I definitely have to work on some like control issues and other things like that, but I mean, they're in my awareness. But I mean, and we don't both try to support each other the best we can. I mean, the reason I went to Peru is because Louis took care of everything for me getting there and took care of everything with the kids.
Yeah, I find that, just something really awesome in this world too. And especially say around unconditional love, I think really, if it's conditional, it's not love.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I have to work at all the time. 'Cause you do grow up feeling like love is conditional, kind of.
It's a conditioning. It's the
Yeah,
same
right.
thing
People
with
right, exactly. Yeah,
it's a
totally is.
conditioning, and it's the same thing with help too. Like if there are conditions to help, it's not help. Period.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's like a whole issue, right, with that, like people giving and receiving and asking for what you need when you were a kid and not getting it. And then what do you like, how do you learn to ask for help? There's a lot with that too.
There is a lot with that. We could do a whole episode just on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. There's a couple of coping styles involved with that too.
Yeah, I'd like to actually where hear what you have to say about those coping styles too.
Yeah, yeah, we could totally get into that. Not right now though, because we gotta
No, not
go.
right now because it's 6:30 and I'm getting
That's a
hungry.
conversation for another day. What are you gonna eat?
Well, I'm going to
Let me
have
indulge in some food porn here.
you're gonna have your food fantasies. I'm going to have some ramen with some, I think, seafood stock and some meatballs that I prepped before this podcast. And I'm probably gonna have uh in the stock itself, I'm gonna mix it with some type of like Penang curry,
All
fish
right.
sauce, some like vinegar.
That sounds yum.
Hell yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I've been fantasizing about food all month long. It's like some weird psychological thing I have going on. I'm not quite sure though I'm the only one.
You're not the only one. I like the
I'm
minute
not.
the dieta starts, I'm fantasizing about food.
Yeah, but it's not like I was even on dieta the whole month. I think it's just the fact that like someone else is making your meals for you. You're really like not eating any sugar, and there's just like not a whole lot of control involved in your food. I mean, the food is delicious, but shout out to Manuela. She's an amazing cook, and I love the food in Peru. But there's just something about like not being able to have like, and it's not that you don't have access to food, but it is like limited and restricted, not as like what you're used to. And there's just something about that it's like this weird psychological thing.
Yeah, it
I haven't
totally
yet
is.
figured out. But yeah, food has some like weird control.
It does, and it's actually like a really interesting. It's like when you're having that food fantasy. So it's like it's when that comes up, it's a good like learning experience to be like, all right, I need to put down the fantasy, but hold on, let me look at this burger for
Yeah.
3 more seconds. Okay, X.
Yeah, it's like stop being so floaty. Louis keeps pointing it out to me. He's like, "You're talking about food again." I'm like, "Well, it's been like I had one day to eat everything I wanted. Like I couldn't eat that much in one day because I came home on Sunday and then we started this dieta right on Monday."
Yeah, right, like back to back.
Mm-hmm. Oh well.
That's
All right, we're gonna end it there,
right.
folks, with some food porn fantasies. Stay tuned next time, and I'll share everything I ate once the diet ended. Just kidding. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, Nick and I would love if you liked it or subscribed to our channel so you could get notified when we release our next episode.
Yeah, and give us a comment too.
Yeah,
If
let us know if there's anything that you'd like us to talk about or to share. I think that
yeah,
would
or
be fun.
if you've done plant medicines and you'd like to share your experience, please share it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, with that, we're going to say adios.
Adios.
Bye.